Hey everyone, it's Michael GoosebumpsFan. I hope you're doing well today. I have another TV adaptation episode review of a Goosebumps classic book series from the old classic 62 book era of Goosebumps. Anyway, a lot of these old episodes are based off just that classic era. Some of them are based off Series 2000, not many. Anyway, I watched this particular episode in this 2 DVD sleeve box set thing, bootleg, that I bought off of eBay that I like to show people just because people see this in videos. I always like to restate that it's a bootleg. If you grab this, that's what it is. Never been released in America on DVD. I don't know why. That's so dumb. Anyway, today I'm talking about Season 2, Episode 19 from this old Goosebumps TV show, Calling All Creeps. Now, I've never read the book until recently. I read it about 3 weeks ago. I just reviewed it yesterday, and I just uploaded the review today for you guys. Never read it before. Really enjoyed it. Not as good as the other episode I reviewed. Not episode, but just the book, The Girl Who Cried Monster. I just reviewed that episode before I reviewed this one. So, that was a great episode. And going from that to this, I was a little worried about what the quality would be, and I was justified to worry about that because I started off the day on this great note. For whatever reason, I woke up with all this energy, just excited, having a good day so far. Decided to watch some Goosebumps episodes to get these reviews done and recorded and uploaded. And Girl Who Cried Monster was an excellent TV adaptation of an excellent book. Really, really good. Recommend both of those. However, Calling All Creeps. It got the short stick, man. I'll be honest with you. This episode came out on February 15th of 1997. And, oh, by the way, it's directed by Craig Price. And this is the only episode he ever directed of Goosebumps, which was a little odd to me. Usually when I see a name I don't know that's not like Timothy Bond or William Fruit or Fruet, however you say his name. When I see names that aren't like those guys, I typically get a little nervous. Kind of hopeful, but kind of nervous because it's typically somebody they just grabbed off the street and they put him on a project. And Craig Price hasn't really worked on much else. From what I can tell, I think he worked a little bit on some Christmas movies for Hallmark and some knockoff Christmas movies that feel like a Hallmark movie. He did some other stuff. I think he did like one episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? And that's it. You know? So, let me start by saying the book for Calling All Creeps is really solid. I really, really dig it. I really liked it a lot. Really fun read, really enjoyed it, and really recommend it, honestly. And I think it has a good, creepy atmosphere to it. The episode, not so much. The episode is kind of that feel of that very low-budget feel that I talk about with a lot of these episodes. Not as something as difficult as like Bad Hair Day or like My Hairiest Adventure. Nothing to that degree, you know? But it still feels a little low budget. It feels like this episode doesn't have enough of a story to keep it really rolling, keep it intriguing, you know? It's fine for what it is. It's about as bland and boring, is the big word I'd use, as it could possibly get. Which I never really thought I would say that, because most Goosebumps things, whether it be the books, the episodes, the movies, anything like that, comic book adaptations, typically it's not that they're boring, they're just either really good, or solid, or bad, you know? That's typically what I experience with my emotions when it comes to Goosebumps and when I do reviews here on the channel. That is not so much the case here. I'll be honest with you. This is just boring. It's not that it's bad, it's kind of dull. It's kind of empty. It kind of misses a lot of the creepy notes of that original book for me. The book has an atmosphere to it because of the general setup. Now let me get into the story a little bit in case you don't know anything about Calling All Creeps. Of course, these reviews are always spoiler free, so you don't have to worry about having anything ruined for you. No matter how long the videos are, they're typically spoiler free unless I put something in the title or I say it in the video. So, Calling All Creeps. Ricky Beamer, named Ricky the Rat by a lot of the kids at school, is not the most popular kid. He's kind of a bullied kid, specifically by 3 people. I think in the book there's like 4 kids that are really the bullies of that kid. But Ricky is kind of a nerdy dude, and he likes to work on the school newspaper. Well, he wants to, and he can't really get involved too much because of a teacher involved with that class that the bullies kind of have this teacher hating his guts and thinking he's a nuisance, basically. Now, personally, I like this kid that played Ricky. He reminds me a lot of Rick Moranis, as a matter of fact. Kind of just with the glasses and everything, he looks a lot like him. Kind of has that look on his face sometimes. And he's okay. He's trying. You know, I'll give him that. He didn't have much of an acting career. He did a couple of things, but apparently he did an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? I kind of wonder if he was in the episode that Craig Price made, but I don't know. I don't care enough to look into it, I'll be honest with you. But that kid does fine for what he has to do here. Anyway, he sabotages a newspaper article to get back at somebody on that paper who is one of the bullies, who's not as involved with the group of bullies that I think she was in the book, but not as much here, oddly enough. So he tries to get back at her, and he puts her phone number in the paper and says, like, if you're a real creep, call this number right here, hoping that people will prank call her and mess with that phone number and stuff. And somebody at some point changed that phone number, probably this girl, and they reveal it, you know, in the story. Somebody changed the number to Ricky's phone number, so he starts getting calls in the middle of the night, but it's not your typical calls. He gets phone calls from people that are like whispering, teens and kids that are whispering, saying like, hey there, I'm a creep, you know, like, when are we meeting? You know, he gets like 4 different calls in one night from different kids that all sound like this. He starts to wonder, well, number one, what's a creep? Number two, who are these kids that are calling me? And that was like my favorite part in the book, was that creepy atmosphere of these phone calls in the middle of the night. You know, I recently watched the Scream franchise again. I love the first one, the rest, they pretty much suck. 4 and 5 are tolerable, but the endings aren't great for those. But pretty much the original one, that guy that does the voice for the phone, is terrifying. And so that idea always gets to me. Like, I don't want to get gutted like a fish in the middle of the night because of, you know, some scary phone call that I get. And I certainly don't want to answer a scary phone call in the dark. You know, that always gets me too. That general idea gets me. Anyway, so that was my favorite atmospheric part of that book. And it's kind of taken out of here, you know, and that intrigue of what are the creeps is really fun in the book. You don't know if it's a prank, you don't really know what's going on most of the time, and I really love it for that. However, here it's not like that. It's just kind of meandering, kind of like this review. Most of this book is just, or this episode is just kind of nothing really happening. Everybody talking about things that should happen or will happen. Again, that kind of factors into that low-budget nature, even though a lot of the book is like that, but there's something special about that book. I don't know if it's just an R.L. Stine touch or what, but there's something about that that feels special in the book. There's an atmosphere and a way of telling that story that Stine did that the episode didn't do or couldn't pull off because of the time restraints or anything. Anyway, the bullies at school start to get a little bit more involved in Ricky's life, if you will. For whatever reason, they've all of a sudden changed up. They're all nice to him, and nobody really knows why. And that's kind of all I want to tell you about the story. There's also another girl in here who is named Iris, and she's in the book as well. She's a new girl at school, and she's kind of like the odd man out. She's coming in. Ricky becomes friends with her immediately because she sees how kids are bullying him, and she wants to just kind of be friends with him. And he kind of shows her around the school, and they kind of just become friends because of that. And she's just kind of there. And the book, I think in my personal opinion, I think she serves a little bit more of a purpose in the book than in here. There's like one particular scene in here that kind of helps, you know, Ricky a little bit, but not so much. Not the way I think she does in the book. If it sounds like I'm bored, it's because I am, because the episode is boring. There's not really much to say about it. It's just there's not much happening here, you know? And even when you get into spoiler territory, which I won't in this review, even if you did, there's not much to talk about. There's not really much impressiveness. That's not a word. There's nothing really to talk about with this, and that's a shame, in my opinion, because the book had quite a bit to talk about. So I am bored, frankly. So therefore, if I'm bored, I know you're bored. I'm going to go ahead and put you out of your misery on this review. When it comes to Calling All Creeps, do I recommend this episode? Not really. If you've read the book and you really like the book, this is going to disappoint you. And going from, like I said in my review for Girl Who Cried Monster, going from that episode to this immediately after, that was a bad choice on my behalf. Very bad choice. It wasn't as good, and it wasn't as scary. Now, Girl Who Cried Monster is a scary episode. You should check that out for sure, whether you've read the book or not. Both are good. Both are excellent, as a matter of fact, like I said. This one, the book is really good, the episode's not. Clearly, when it comes to preferring one or the other, I prefer this book easily. Calling All Creeps is a very solid book. Not perfect, the ending is a little wonky, and the ending here it's still wonky, but it's even more goofy somehow. Somehow. They went that route. Anyway, Craig Price did one episode of Goosebumps. And there's probably a reason why. I don't entirely blame him for this episode being bad, or rough, or boring, or dull, or middle of the road, whatever you want to consider this episode to be, or whatever you consider I consider it to be. There's a reason he only did one, I think. Yeah. So, what did you think about this episode, guys? I'd love to hear that down in the comment section down below. When it comes to calling all creeps, if I had to rate this episode on a 5-star basis, I'd give it like a 2 out of 5 stars. It's not even that it's poorly made, it's just boring. Just boring. Plain and simple. So anyway, thank you for watching. God bless you guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section down below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? I'd love to hear all that down below too. Thank you for watching, guys, once again. Goodbye. God bless you.